She was handcuffed by her husband who called her a witch. The marriage lasted 8 days, and that wasn't even the craziest thing that happened to Michelle Phillips. But before we get into that, I want you to picture this. It's 1970. Richard Nixon is in the White House, Vietnam protests are exploding across America, and the Beatles have just announced their breakup, shocking the world. Families are watching The Mary Tyler Moore Show and The Odd Couple on television. Gas costs 36 cents a gallon, and movie tickets are $1.55. The hippie dream of the 1960s is fading fast, replaced by something darker and more dangerous. Easy Rider has just made Dennis Hopper the hottest rebel in Hollywood, the countercultural icon everyone wants to meet. It's Halloween night, 1970 in Taos, New Mexico. In a few days, gunshots will echo through the desert. A woman will be handcuffed and called a witch. One of Hollywood's shortest, most disturbing marriages will end after exactly 8 days. The bride standing at this bizarre altar, surrounded by candles stuck in paper bags, listening to her groom read from the Gospel of St. Thomas, is Michelle Phillips. She was one of the most famous voices of the 1960s with the Mamas and the Papas, and she has absolutely no idea she's about to live through a nightmare. When people think of Michelle Phillips today, they picture that gorgeous California girl singing California Dreamin' with perfect harmonies. But the real story behind that beautiful smile is far more shocking than anything you've imagined. Surprising truth number 1. Her 8-day marriage to Dennis Hopper is one of Hollywood's most disturbing stories. Let's start with the most shocking revelation. In 1970, Michelle Phillips married Dennis Hopper, fresh off his massive success directing and starring in Easy Rider. Hopper was Hollywood's golden rebel, magnetic, and dangerous. Michelle met him on the set of his film, The Last Movie. She felt an intense attraction. She later described it as this Florence Nightingale instinct, and just for the record, girls, it doesn't work. I was so overloaded emotionally, I didn't know what I was doing. They married on Halloween, October 31st, 1970. The wedding should have been a warning. Hopper decorated with candles stuck in paper bags, read from the Gospel of St. Thomas himself. A screenwriter who witnessed it said, "It was a whole mixed mystical thing. It was just craziness." The marriage lasted exactly 8 days. What happened, Michelle described with one word: excruciating. During their Mexico honeymoon, Hopper fired shotguns into the air. Back home, author Peter Biskin confirmed that Hopper scared Michelle and her young daughter Chinna by shooting guns inside the house. Hopper was reportedly running a drug-fueled cult during the filming of The Last Movie, where actors nearly overdosed on peyote. He allegedly handcuffed Michelle, insisting she was a witch. One witness reported he was so stoned the morning after the wedding he didn't recognize his bride. Michelle's father physically dragged her to his attorney. Men like that never change. File for divorce now. It'll be embarrassing for a few weeks. Then it will be over. She filed on November 8, 1970, 8 days after saying, "I do." People asked, "A divorce after 8 days? What kind of tart are you?" To this day, she refuses to speak his name. She calls him, "the name that shall never pass my lips." Hopper later said, "7 of those days were pretty good. The 8th day was the bad one." This wasn't a funny Hollywood anecdote. This was a woman escaping something that could have become much darker. Michelle showed incredible courage getting out when she did. And that's just the beginning, because Michelle's life was a series of betrayals and twisted situations that would have destroyed most people. If you're already shocked and want to hear the rest of this unbelievable story, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, it gets even more dramatic from here. Surprising truth number 2. Her husband turned her affair into a hit song and forced her to perform it. To understand how Michelle ended up in that nightmare with Hopper, we need to go back to 1966, when her own husband did something even more psychologically twisted. Michelle and bandmate Denny Doherty were having an affair. There would be so much sexual energy between Denny and me that we'd be playing footsie under the table, she recalled. John discovered them when he found Michelle sitting on Denny's bed in her nightgown, feeding him candies. He screamed one of the most bizarre lines in rock history: "You can do a lot of things to me, but you don't mess with my tenor." Not "you broke my heart." He was worried about losing his tenor singer. But here's where it gets truly twisted. John forgave the affair, but he wasn't letting a good crisis go to waste. He sat down with Denny and made him collaborate on a song about it. About Denny's affair with John's wife. The song was "I Saw Her Again." Think about how cruel this is. Denny had to write a song with the husband of the woman he was sleeping with. Then Denny had to sing lead vocals, confessing the affair to the world. The lyrics, "I saw her again last night, and you know that I shouldn't. But I really need that girl. Don't know why I'm living a lie." Michelle had to perform it on stage, night after night. When she protested, John gave her a chilling response. "Michelle, I'm not being callous. I'm turning tragedy into publishing." He was right. "I Saw Her Again" hit number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1966. Michelle performed a song about her own infidelity, written by her husband and lover, for screaming fans who had no idea what they were really hearing. Surprising truth number 3, she was fired from the band she helped create on her 22nd birthday. If you thought that was the end of it, you'd be wrong. Michelle then had an affair with Gene Clark of the Byrds. This time, John was done. On June 4th, 1966, her 22nd birthday, John Phillips, Cass Elliot, and Denny Doherty served Michelle with a firing letter. She was out of the band she co-founded, the band where she sang on their biggest hits, on her birthday. That firing letter? She still has it hanging on her wall today, over 50 years later, a permanent reminder of the betrayal. They replaced her with Jill Gibson, who looked similar. Blonde, blue-eyed, slim. They figured audiences wouldn't notice or care. They'd just move on like Michelle Phillips never existed. That plan lasted exactly 2.5 months. Surprising truth number 4. Concert crowds literally chanted her name until the band had to take her back. Here's where the story takes its most satisfying turn. The Mamas and the Papas went on stage with Jill Gibson. She looked right, she could sing, but something fundamental was missing. And audiences knew it immediately. People started chanting, "Where's Michelle? Where's Michelle? Where's Michelle?" Concert after concert, venue after venue, audiences demanded her back. Jill was talented but didn't have Michelle's grittier edge and stage charisma. The magic was gone. On August 23, 1966, just 2.5 months later, they had no choice. They rehired Michelle. The woman they'd fired, humiliated, and tried to erase came back because the world refused to let her go. The power had completely flipped. Michelle Phillips was irreplaceable, and everyone finally knew it. Surprising truth number 5. Michelle Phillips never wanted to be a star. She just wanted to make dinner. Now here's the detail that makes all of this even more unbelievable. After hearing about the drama, the affairs, the firing, the comeback, you'd think Michelle was someone who craved the spotlight, right? The complete opposite is true. Picture this. A young woman making spaghetti in her kitchen. John calls from the other room. "Hey Mitch, come sing this part." She sings, then goes back to cooking. That's it. That's all she wanted. "I wanted to be John's wife," she recalled. "I would be in the kitchen making spaghetti, and he would say, 'Come in here, sing this part.' Then I'd go back and finish dinner. It never occurred to me this would lead to being in the group." Here's what makes this incredible. When she joined the Mamas and the Papas, she had never been in front of a professional microphone before in her entire life. Her first time was recording their biggest hits. At first it was very hard. I was afraid. I looked around at Cass, Denny, and John, who were loving every minute of it because this was what they had always wanted. And they had all performed a lot. When I got into the studio, I had never been in front of a microphone before. While Cass, Denny, and John lived for the spotlight, Michelle was shaking with stage fright before every performance. The woman who never wanted fame became an icon. Time magazine called her the purest soprano in pop music, and she never asked for any of it. Surprising. Truth number 6. She saved the entire band with 17 straight winning craps roles in the Bahamas. Here's a story that shows Michelle wasn't just a survivor. She was also a hero with impossible luck. During their fame, the band got stranded broke in the Bahamas. Despite being one of the most successful groups in America, they couldn't afford plane tickets home. Michelle walked into a casino and approached a craps table. Then something mathematically impossible happened. She won 17 straight shoots at the craps table, 17 in a row. Anyone who understands gambling knows how astronomically unlikely that is. Winning even 3 or 4 times in a row is extraordinary, but 17 consecutive wins? That's absolute legend. Michelle kept rolling, kept winning. The pile of chips kept growing. She walked away with enough money to buy first-class tickets for the entire band. Not coach, first class. The reluctant housewife who never wanted fame just saved everyone with the most improbable gambling streak imaginable. It's the perfect metaphor for her life. She never asked to be the hero, but when the moment came, Michelle Phillips delivered. Surprising truth number 7. Warren Beatty was the love of her life, but she walked away from Hollywood's biggest playboy. After surviving Dennis Hopper, Michelle dated Hollywood's most eligible men. Jack Nicholson, still relatively unknown then, encouraged her acting career. If you want to be an actress, join every workshop you can. She did, and it changed everything. But Warren Beatty captured her heart like no one else. Warren Beatty in the mid-1970s was Hollywood's most famous womanizer. He'd been linked to Natalie Wood, Julie Christie, Joan Collins, Diane Keaton. Everyone knew his reputation, but with Michelle, something felt different. "I was madly in love with him," she confessed. She called him the love of my life. They dated for about a year. She even appeared in a cameo in Shampoo in 1975 with him, but his passive-aggressive behavior drove her away. "It took me a long time to get over him," she admitted. Years later, she watched Beatty tell Barbara Walters his relationships ended because "they broke up with me." Michelle fell off the couch laughing. That is what Warren makes his women do. He pushed women away, then played the victim. When Beatty married Annette Bening in 1992, Michelle said, "I love Annette Bening, and I pray for her every day. She can manage the guy, and I never could. He drove me nuts." She walked away from the love of her life because she'd learned her lesson. After John Phillips, after Dennis Hopper, she wouldn't lose herself again. Not even for Warren Beatty. Michelle Phillips is now 80 and the last surviving original member of the Mamas and the Papas. Cass Elliot died in 1974 at only 32. John Phillips died in 2001. Denny Doherty in 2007. She outlived them all. Michelle lives quietly in Los Angeles now, finally telling the real story. Mercifully, John is dead, she said about making the biopic she's wanted for decades. So he can't stand in the way of me doing it. Once you've taken the knife out of your heart, it makes for a wonderful story. From the terrified housewife making spaghetti who never wanted fame, to the woman who survived betrayal, firing on her birthday, dangerous relationships, and absolute chaos, Michelle Phillips became utterly unforgettable. She never asked to be a star. She became one anyway, on her own terms. So which truth shocked you the most? Comment below with a number 1 through 7. Was it the 8th day marriage? The affair song? The firing? Let us know. And if you remember the Mamas and the Papas from back in the day, share your memories with us. Don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories from the golden age of music. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.